Today I'd like to showcase a different cube. I've actually got a lot of cubes, and most of them are block related, but after I built near 30 cubes, I still didn't have a cube that could have Shivan Dragon in it, where Shivan Dragon's like also still cool. And so I built a cube of core sets, and actually I did 4th edition first, and it's not a draftable set. I mean, it is, and I do it sometimes, and it's okay at best, but revised is like unplayable from the color white. You have like no creatures. You've got circle of protection at common. It's a mess. And so this set is designed to be set up like booster packs and drafted as if you were just drafting the set. And after some consideration, I think 10th is the best. I made M10 as well to compare because M10 has the classic lightning bolt. And so it's like a cube for that. But like lightning bolt's in a good cube. So I see lightning bolt all the time anyway. Doesn't really matter. There's something about being in a draft format and seeing a bomb that would only be a bomb and limited that is like a lot of fun. So how we built this cube, 10th edition's a big set. It's 263 or 363 cards without the basic lands. And it's exactly 121 rares, 121 uncommons, and 121 commons. And core sets are the only sets where they've been ridiculous like that, where the numbers don't. Most sets, now they're smaller. Most sets are like 68 rare and/or mythic, and then you've got like 60 uncommons, and then you've got like 140 commons. That's kind of the go-to norm where there's more. So the commons in a core set, like specifically this core set, because it's the last one to do it like this, the commons are still not super common. So when you're in your pack, you get real decisions where it's like, do I want Festering Goblin or do I want Ravenous Rats? And there's also such a wide diversity of commons that it's cool, where it's like Ravenous Rats is a card, but so is Spined Thug, 2/2 can't block. And so all of your draft choices with the cards you're picking is, what kind of deck do I want to play? Do I want to slow roll my game, or do I want to go in aggressive? And pretty much every spot on the curve, they give you that decision tree. Do I want to play Gravedigger and return another creature and draw the game out longer? Or do I want to play Highway Robber and drain them for 2 and try and close that life total game? And so 10th is really cool. It's like skill intensive in the way you play it, but not necessarily, and probably in the way you draft it too. But the cards are simple enough that there's nothing really complex about it. And this is a winning deck from a 10th edition draft. Not recently though. I have written records, so I'm just kind of pulling through it. And we've got a green-black mid-range, and the deck is almost mono-black. And it's pretty cool. We've got here's a Thoughtseize effect, and here's a Ravenous Rats, and being able to like turn 2 Ravenous Rat, turn 3 Mind Rot when you're really just playing a game where you're slowly eking out card advantage. 10th edition's our last core set that still has like a lot of the classics, like Scathe Zombies. A 2/2 vanilla for 3 is nigh unplayable. And so as a general rule, the power and toughness in this set was really carefully curated to have where the older cards actually age in okay. The one thing I like about M10 more than 10th edition is that 10th edition plays with combat damage on the stack if you really want to be a purist, and M10 doesn't. M10 has new rules and battlefield wording. Pretty much every card in 10th edition in the common slot though like serves a purpose, and some of the commons in M10 is like red 5 mana, target player sacrifices a land. It's like unplayable in every setting, and the only thing that card has ever done is set a message that WotC doesn't like to print Stone Rain anymore. So we got, it's just like a curve, and curve is really important, and you get really rewarded for respecting curve in like a draft deck like this. So we've got our 2s and then our 3s. None of these cards are super spicy. Like Husk is pretty good, and Dredge Skeletons can be really valuable, especially if you're playing against like a Crawlworm deck. Something that's just trying to play the biggest creatures on curve. You can buy a lot of time with that. Not that this deck has a lot of flyers to close its game. Doom Necromancer's like kind of whatever. It's cool that you like, here's a value bear. And then there's also like, or do you want this evasive threat at 3 mana? They give you lots of options. And this is our first bit of like, that's a better card, Hypnotic Spectre. It's pretty cool. And then you don't get the Dark Ritual into Hypnotic Spectre in 10th edition, but this card still gets work done. And we've got a Necrotal, which is a super solid classic 4-drop. A body that does a little extra work. And then we've got a handful of green cards at the top of the curve, because black does not have good curve toppers unless you open a specific rare. We've got a nice little Basilisk here. And then we've got Kavu Climber, just more kind of value stuff for the deck. And then we got Rocks, which is a pretty beefy game-winning house and a low-powered limited. And like the low power part of it is part of what makes it really fun. And then we've got Lure, which this deck doesn't really play a ton of big guys, so you're not really using it to get like a lot of unblockable, but you will win some games by either A, putting it on the Basilisk, and then it like just kills every untapped creature they try and put back on the table. So that's kind of a combo in itself. And then it can have a similar effect with the Nantuko Husk, where you can just outpower and use your creatures to eat their creatures in a way that you want to do that. And we're going to get on to the non-creature spot. We've got Terror. It's a nice classic removal spell, 2 mana, efficient. And this is something they do a lot too. You've got these really cool, low-costed kill spells. And then here's a kill spell that's by all marks mostly worse, but it has draw a card attached to it. So you get to... Do you want to play this efficient game where you're closing the window, or do you want to play a drawn-out dirtily game? And then here's another, just kind of card advantage decision. Do you play it or not? And even more, it's kind of a slow format. So you got like these raised heads that draw a card. And like just a lot of the, depending on the board state, it's like, what do you have time for? It's pretty cool. Here's a kill spell at 5 mana, but it gives you some life. And then we've got a Beacon, and then we've got a Head Games, which actually isn't that good, but whatever, it's here. And then that was definitely the first card I would board out most of the time, especially since you already have a Mind Rotten Friends. We've got our lands. We've got a Dredge Skeleton on a land, so that's kind of cool. We've got a Terramorphic Expanse, and we've got basics. I have an M10 cube, and I just universally did the same lands for both. There was a, I don't know, of course that lands didn't seem that important to be a purist about. And then these were the sideboard options. We got a Naturalize, because something like that might come up. A Second Afflict. This set's pretty, I wouldn't say famous, but if you played a lot of this limited, you know that Prodigal Pyromancer is at a common in this set, and tapping to deal damage is a really good effect, and so is Merfolk Looter. So having the little extra -1/-1s makes sense. We got a Death Mark. We got a Treetop Bracers, just a little bit of evasion and power. We got a Highway Robber, I guess when you want a little bit of life gain, another creature. And we got a Demon's Horn, which means this deck probably faced up against a mono deck, black deck at some point. Felt that was going to be worthwhile, because all the other extras they might have had in their deck didn't get written down, which means they never boarded them in. Yeah, and that's the deck. And then I talk about how this draft cube is made. So it's one of every rare. It's 2 of every common or uncommon and 4 of every common, and that gives you enough to make packs for up to 16 people, which is pretty cool. Not that 16 people show up for, especially like a core set draft. Maybe they would if I lived in a bigger city, but I don't. But we can hit 6 to 8 on a regular basis, and that's pretty cool. I'll take it. And as far as how to make the packs, it's the commons are usually shuffled enough that you can just hit your commons. But what I do is I'll take 2 rares, 4 commons, and 4 uncommons, and then I will shuffle that up with 30 cards that are in the land slot, and that's to mimic the foil pull rate. So out of 40 packs, I have 2 that could be a double rare at the back of the pack instead of just a basic land. And that's a pretty easy way to emulate that, even though when you're drafting this set, those rarities actually replace the common slot. It just looks like your pack was made wrong if you get to your like 10th common and it's a rare, and then you see 3 uncommons and then you see a rare. People are like, well, something just didn't get sorted back into the right spot. So I put it in the basic land slot. It's a little bit of extra flair. That's pretty cool. And then for those that watch more of my videos and just want to update, I went 3-0 in my Pioneer games. I played against a Phoenix player who was really new, and by really new, I mean he hadn't played Standard in a couple years, but was getting back into it, and borrowed my Phoenix deck because he remembers how good Treasure Cruise was. And he just like wasn't prepared to like answer the right things in the right timing windows. Kind of rolled him. That's just how it goes. Then I played against Lotus Field, and those games were really close. And I had 2 damping spheres in my 3rd game, and he just didn't have. He had 1 answer, and I had 2 hate pieces, and I got there. But those games were really close. I won the game on the play, I lost the game on the draw, and then game 3 I'm on the play, and I also. So Boats is fast, but it's not necessarily fast to beat Lotus Field. And then game 3 I played against the Phoenix again. I mulled the 5 game 1. But I kept Llanowar, Stormseeker, Chariot with 2 lands. And I did the thing. Like he opened on Hall of the Storm Giants cantrip. And then his second land was like the Zendikar flip lands. And he played it blue side up and played a Ledger Shredder. And like I just got to do all my things. And he couldn't keep up. So pretty cool to win. And then in game 2, he had a pretty hot hand. And he basically killed all my stuff. But turn 4, I just rolled a live Hazoret, and he didn't have answers for that, and it just chipped him to death. So, yeah, pretty cool. Thanks for watching. If you want to see more of my cubes and just more thoughts on cube philosophy and how to make them, I will make more videos talking about cubes because I've got a lot of them. And they all kind of serve a purpose, and they're all pretty cool. I think the greatest thing about 10th edition cube is someone can be like, I've only seen people play this game. And it's like, sit down, pick cards, will help you put a deck together. And you're going to really learn and get a feel of what the basics of this game are. And sometimes you need that too. Because the good cube can be really overwhelming. It's like I opened a pack and there's 2 planeswalkers and a card with really old wording, and this just isn't going to be for me. And so it's nice to have a little bit of something for everyone. All right. Thanks for watching if you watched, and I'll catch you in the next one.